watching for the lights. They are on. Good start from pole position. That's the battle for the championship lead. Just 7 points separating those two. Is he going to be able to get the run here? There's contact there. This is going to be another massive story and another driver potentially on with a podium finish. Oh, he's got it! He's got it!
Well, we are back once again as we'll pass the halfway point mark in our season. It's been a great opening couple of rounds from Monica Bolton, Ramos and Dylan Warren, who have both taken double wins in their respective races. They are looking to lock their place into our finale in the NCME at Bolton University in May. But they'll have to contest with plenty of new names jumping into the championship all the time, courtesy of the pre-qualifying competition for every round. It means that absolutely nothing is guaranteed in this season. And what better circuit to hammer that point home? Of course, the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. You thought Slipstream last round at Spielberg was extreme. Well, this really is Slipstream City. Long straights, tight chicanes. This one is sure to be a thrill. It is time for round number 3 in the ROKiT Racing Start Formula 4 Esports Competition UK as we're about to get underway. As always, I'm Lewis McGlade. Cameron Rodger is alongside me in the booth. What a great venue this one is, and a very different style of challenge than the previous couple of rounds we've had.
Yeah, this is going to be great. Monza is always a host of a good race. And then especially in a car like this, the slipstream down all of the long straights here is going to have some really close racing and probably allow someone who's maybe a couple of tenths off the pace to then keep up with the leaders and then create an even close battle, as we've seen already in the opening couple of rounds of the season so far. So yeah, going to be a great race today.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, to be fair, Spielberg, especially, the boys' race was fantastic. The girls' race could have been something very, very special. We were just on that edge, and it was building up to being something fantastic. And then a couple of mistakes into the penultimate corner, causing issues for Chloe Grant and for Macy Hitter. Monica Bolton Ramos winning both of those. The procedure tonight, of course, is the same as we've always had in the ROKiT Racing Star Formula 4 Esports competition. We'll have 2 different races, boys' race, girls' race. We're starting with the girls' race, which Monica Bolton Ramos has been in charge of. Macy Hitter, though, has been very, very close on pace on more than one occasion this season. We were kind of speaking of the issues of the race start that she's had. Hopefully those issues will be sorted for this round. Did message me post Spielberg saying brand new to these kind of simulators and stuff and how they kind of work. Let's be honest, a race start is not an easy thing to do from a standing point. You can bog down, you can wheel spin. There's a lot of things that can happen, especially when you're unfamiliar with it. But if there's one track you need to get it right, it's here. Such a long run down to turn 1.
Yeah, so incredibly important. And also with the girls having a few more drivers on the grid today, it's going to be a bit harder to come back through if you do drop down. But here on screen, as you see, Monza, the temple of speed, as they say, looking really good for the track action. So many long straights. It's really 4 long straights with a couple of chicanes in the middle of them. So it's just going to be constant battling throughout the whole 30-minute race.
It certainly will be. Now, it has been Monica Bolton Ramos taking both of the pole positions coming into it, but didn't lead the pre-qualifying going into the last round, has retaken top spot in that sense, and because of that, she leads the championship in the season. It's kind of one of those things where a championship where you only need 3 results. It provides something very interesting that we kind of haven't really touched on too much in the season thus far. That it's over 5 rounds. We only take the top 3 results, what that means is you've got a few freebies, essentially, a few occasions where it's, if you don't get a good result, that's fine. So for the likes of Macy Hitter, or even, to be fair, for Lois Millward, who has finished in 5th and in 6th over the previous couple of races, still scoring points, still getting good points onto the board, that's going to pay dividends towards the end of the season.
Oh, it certainly is. And this race, being that third race, as you say, is the all-important race, because it means you can maybe just relax a little bit and not get too worked up in the last couple of races. And it's also then gives a good opportunity for one of the girls or boys later on, a little bit low down in the championship, an opportunity to get up there as well, because maybe someone who secures their spot then decides not to attend, and then that can always open the door for new drivers as well. And talking of new drivers, as you see, we've got once again increased grid here for the girls, with a couple of drivers, with Charlotte Bell and Jasmine Shaw coming in, making the grid even bigger, and hopefully making that competition just even more exciting.
And of course, the return of Ella Wrigley, who did miss the last round of Red Bull Ring, but she did say she was going to return to us as soon as she could, and certainly straight back into the championship. The only driver we've had now, it'll be 8 different drivers take part over the season. The only one missing is Chloe Grant, who took part in the previous round and actually led quite a few laps. Is the only driver other than Monica Bolton Ramos to have led in the girls' race. And I'm pretty sure, if memory serves, in the boys' race it has only been Dylan Warren leading, because as much as he didn't have pole position at Spielberg, did take the race lead on the start, on that run up the hill. The race starting here, though, is going to be absolutely critical. More critical than that, though, qualifying. Getting a good position in here. It just avoids some of the drama that we saw plenty of at Spielberg.
Yeah, we saw that as well. And also, if the likes of a Hitter and gets a bad start as well, it's better to be higher up, because then you have obviously more potential of keeping some places as well. So yeah, qualifying to be all important to get yourself in that position. And they do say if you're fast in qualifying, that can often translate to the race as well, especially when here we've got a fixed setup for all of these drivers. So they're all equal machinery, so there's no sort of tinkering between the sessions as well. They just got to get on with what they've got. And yeah, if you're fast in one session, then you're probably going to be fast in the other.
Yeah, it all kind of adds up. Slipstream though around here. Said it, Slipstream City. Slipstream is going to be the talk of the day, be it in qualifying or be it in the race as well. Just to remember, by the way, if you want to come and take part in this championship, you absolutely can do. There's still 2 rounds left to go. Qualifying is open for the 4th round of the season, which will be in a couple of weeks' time. Obviously, the standard reminders that you must be a UK resident and between the ages of 14 and 15 to come and participate. But we would love to have you racing on the grid. Boys, girls race. There's plenty of opportunities for everyone to do so and to jump in. Unfortunately, if you do go to Bolton, you might have to put up with me and Cam talking about your racing, but we'll gloss over that and speak about that another time. Any more details that you want to go and find, you can do so by going to racingstar.com. All relevant information is on there, of course. You'd have to download RaceRoom, which is a free download on Steam. Plenty of racing to get into. This one is a completely free entry. And to be fair, when it comes to competitions and stuff in sim racing, Cam, I understand that some of them it's are behind paywalls of buying content here and buying content there. Having a championship like this where it is just completely free to access, that is what I like to see.
Absolutely, and especially for these younger drivers as well, giving them the opportunity to jump into a high-level competitive series where there's really great prizes and just opportunities on offer. I think it's just a great show for these guys, and hopefully they can show a bit of their talent. And even if they don't win the competition, they may be able to get their name out there, get some contacts on the board, and see just how they can improve their career. Because as you said, 14, 15 years old, these are quite young people in their career, and as we move into the qualifying session, they need to obviously work their way up the ladder step by step, and this is certainly a first step for quite a few of these.
How old were you when you started sim racing?
Sim race? Well, I mean, in terms of driving
I mean competition, like sim racing, like what you run, FSR and all that kind of stuff, like actual competition.
2015, so I was 17 years old.
I was also 17 when I started.
I did, yeah, I did a lot of racing on games where you sort of race the AI and that sort of thing, but it's a completely different style of racing when you're racing other people on the internet. There's no flashbacks, there's no restarts. If you make a mistake, that's it. It's done, and you just got to get on with it. It's quite a different way to go about the racing, and getting that experience obviously when you're younger certainly helps that. And as you say, the likes of Macy Hitter after the race last time, just saying just really getting used to the sim and that sort of stuff. It is quite different to real life, even if you've done karting and bits and bobs like that. It's certainly its own ball game.
Yeah, the thing with racing in real life, the typicality is that you feel a lot of what's going on in the car from your body. Your body's telling you about the G-forces and stuff, and obviously we don't have that in sim racing unless you have a motion rig, and we're not going to discuss those and such today. But your hands do a lot of the talking in sim racing. They're the ones that's the primary feedback that you're getting as to what's going on, and then your eyes visually are telling you, okay, if this car's sliding, I can kind of see that, and trying to predict what's going on. It's immensely difficult to translate. It's something that even the very, very best, kind of one of those things that we can speak of in sim racing in terms that we've seen over the last particularly couple of years is big name drivers from the real world of motorsport jumping in, the likes of Jenson Button and Jacques Villeneuve, and they've all good, although Jacques Villeneuve did try it on a controller, so we'll gloss over that one. To be fair, Lewis Mills on the controllers, fair enough. Yeah, but these drivers, they've jumped into sim racing. It's not as if they've jumped into sim racing and suddenly they're dynamite fast. They still need to relearn the same as everyone else.
Oh, they certainly need to. As Lewis Millward there goes off in the final corner before starting her lap, so she needs to get a bit of a better run. But yeah, it's certainly a slightly different skill that you need to learn, and the visual references are very important indeed. And just learning how that feels and what sort of changes to your driving style you need to do, because the car is obviously fast in a certain way, and here and there may be a thing that's slightly that maybe feels slightly different to what you're used to, and you just need to sort of adapt to that. So being able to change to those new feels and new situations is certainly an important attribute to learn as well.
Well, we'll see Monica Bolton Ramos there navigate the first couple of corners and then come round Curva Grande up towards the Rodger under the bridge, which is obviously no longer there, so it's not a bridge, but of course the banking used to run over this part of the circuit. Little bit deep there into the first part of the Rodger, just overcooking the brakes slightly. Nothing too major. You can kind of bring that time back in later laps, going through the Lesmos, the banking. Now in a faster cars, Formula 1 cars, etc., you are flying through these corners, tick, 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 tick. It's almost like they all lead into each other. Not quite to the same degree as Suzuka, of course, but in a car like this, you really do take it one corner at a time. You don't have to rush yourself. Just carry that momentum through the corner, but you've got to be careful, especially in sections like this, not to use too much curb. You've got to be very aware as to what's going on the circuit.
Yeah, you certainly do. And I think the key word you said there was momentum. In cars like this, keeping that minimum speed up is so important. Just look how long this straight is. If you get a bad exit, you've got best part of 15-20 seconds of you then losing that time all the way down. You're just seeing your delta, 10th by 10th just go down if you make a bit of a mistake. So maximizing those corners. Oh, as Bolton Ramos goes too wide there in the final corner, and that is a good example there, just trying to push the limits there, but getting on the Astro, losing the rear, and she'll certainly have a few more tenths to gain in that corner.
Now, problem is that's not only ruined the lap that's just about to be completed, it's ruined the next one as well, as we'll focus back to Jess White across the line, who will set the faster time of 58.052, a couple of tenths clear of Macy Hitter. Monica Bolton Ramos's time did not count over the running of that lap, so potentially exceeded. Did think she took a bit too much curb going through a sky. Wasn't necessarily sure on that one. A little bit of slipstream being dished out to Jess White. Now the thing is this circuit is long. It kind of doesn't feel that long, but it is a long track. You're talking the upper end nearly 2 minutes around the circuit. And what that means is for a 15-minute qualifying session, you don't have many bites of the cherry. And as we've discussed a few times this season, is that once that timer hits zero, boom, session's done. You don't get to finish your final lap, so it's paramount to get bank laps on the board in the early stages, which Monica Bolton Ramos not getting there.
Yeah, just puts that little bit more pressure on the next laps, and something that I feel is quite important. Always the drivers that going wide there, coming out of the second Lesmo onto the back straight, is yeah, at this track, because you have so much time before you come to the final corner as well. You're thinking about it, you're looking at your delta, you're seeing how good of a lap it is, and that final corner is so difficult, and it's so important for the lap time as well, that you can always make a mistake in that final corner, especially because you know it's going to be a good lap, and you sort of get a bit nervous from that. But then, as you say, it ruins the next lap. So you've got to be making sure you're keeping that calm head, getting those laps in, and getting a bit of slipstream as well, potentially, because Jess White here in the opening half of the lap did get some slipstream, currently on that provisional pole position by a couple of tenths as well, and with a good exit here, might be able to improve that time.
Yeah, did really impressive work at Spielberg, of course, did Jess White. She jumped into the championship for the first time at the Austrian circuit. She'll come across the line. She qualified third at the Red Bull Ring, and across the line here will cement that provisional pole position. 57.634, so going 4 tenths faster over that lap time. The reason why I say that she did so impressive was that over the running of practice at Austria, it was probably closer to about a second and a half to 2 seconds off for the most part, and in qualifying really did step it up and had more pace in the tank. Qualified around about a second off of pole, but to be perfectly honest, I didn't really do it justice. There was more pace in the tank, could definitely have been close to the region of half a second off of that pole time. And so basically when the time is on, when it really starts to count, Jess White does seem to be one of those drivers who can, match and go even faster, start setting some PBs, and of course did a good job through the race to finish in second spot.
Yeah, it's certainly a trait of some drivers, I would say, is being able to put in those laps when they really count. You see it often, especially in the last ditch qualifying laps, when everything is on the line. Getting the absolute perfection when it is most important is something that you really have to work on mentally to be able to withstand those pressures and those needs in that situation. And I think that's one reason why there are certain qualifying laps that you might see on YouTube that have millions and millions of views, because to get that on the paper, to make no mistakes, is certainly a hard thing to learn, and especially for these young drivers, it's not the easiest thing to jump into maybe your first esports competition and then perform at the top straight away.
Is there a qualifying lap that you've watched on YouTube more times than you'd care to remember?
There's a couple for sure. Now, one of them is more recent, but it's just the lap itself was so good. Was Hamilton's pole lap in Singapore 2018, I believe it was. That is just a mega lap, no mistakes as well. But also one, just because I like the circuit, was Vettel back in Korea 2013, I think it was. That was also a really nice lap, which is a bit of a weird one as well. But yeah, there is a few out there. Some of the more old school ones. There's one from, is it Spa 2003-ish from Michael Schumacher. There's one, it's just like a raw, no commentary as well. That's a really good lap.
I think one of the more recent ones, unfortunately, messed up at the final corner, but would have been Max Verstappen at the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. But then another qualifying lap that I can think of, because that one was like, oh my god, that's ridiculous. But Scott McLaughlin, 2017 at Bathurst, that is a lap that I have watched way too many times. And whilst I've been waffling on about laps that are needing to be set and great ones that we've seen, Monica Bolton-Ramos sets the fastest time in the session, finally jumps up to the top, 57.493. So about a tenth clear of Jess White. Now, bearing in mind the slipstream kind of pulls you along to the tune of around about 0.6 of a second. To be fair, Jess White's probably sat there on the front row thinking, this is fine. I'm okay with this.
Oh, yeah, great position to be in, especially if you can get a good start, maybe get in the slipstream of Ramos in the race and be able to keep up and then battle throughout that 30-minute race. We've seen Ramos make a couple of mistakes here and there, going off the track while being in the lead. So that is certainly something to factor in, as Charlotte Bell there goes into a sixth place, but about sort of 11 seconds off the pace. So still some time to find there for Bell, but this is her first appearance of the season, so I'm sure she continues for the next couple of races as well. She'll get a lot closer to the top of the field.
And this is the thing, with it being a season like this, a reminder that it is the top 3 results that matter over this season. Here comes Monica Bolton Ramos to absolutely smash that lap time down towards the line. It is quite late around here, does indeed cross the line, but loses out in the final sector. I was expecting that to be close to a 56 there. Monica Bolton Ramos not quite able to do that, but definitely has more time in the tank, which will certainly help. But now with a little bit of slipstream being dished out to Jess White, might actually assist as they're closing in on Ella Wrigley, who's just started going around Curva Grande at the moment. But yeah, it's just the top 3 results that matter. So if you do all 5 rounds of the season, 2 of them are essentially drop rounds. It's only the top 3 results. Now, Monica Bolton Ramos, who's won the previous 2 races, if she wins tonight, well, she's going to be taking a trip to the NCME at Bolton University. Fair enough. Tick. Means she doesn't have to come to Spa, doesn't have to come to Hockenheimring. Means that she can sit back and relax. Means that other people can get great results.
Or you show up and take points of other people.
There is that. Or you show up and, most importantly, get experience.
Yes, that is probably the biggest factor here, especially when there's less people on this grid. So you're basically, from these girls at the moment, they're sort of almost guaranteed to qualify next time as well. It's not like in the boys race, but later on where you don't even know if you're going to qualify into the races. There's a story behind that we'll get into in the boys race as well. So for these girls, getting that experience, as you say, is very important. We did mention about Ramos, making a couple of mistakes and going off the track sometimes, and that consistency is obviously quite an important factor when it comes to real life racing seats as well. It's not just about that sort of peak lap time during the race, it's about your average lap time during the race. As Bolton Ramos here going on for another stonker of a lap, getting maybe the tiniest faintest slipstream from Wrigley as well, getting the extra last couple of thousandths of a second as she's going to come across the line into the 56s with a 56.8 going, but what's that, about 8/10 quicker now than Jess White.
Yeah, that is a pretty monster lap time. Monica Bolton Ramos, to tell you about the time, by the way, in pre-qualifying, they can do as many laps as they want on the leaderboard. The pre-qualifying lap time for Monica Bolton Ramos to get into this and to take top spot of those drivers coming into this, it was a 56.6, so just 2/10 off of a time where you can basically just attack it all day long and really perfect the lap. That, to me, is responding when you need to, and like you say, essentially decimating the field. It's kind of one of those things that we've spoken about a few times on other championships and such, which is the idea that late in a qualifying session, if you've got enough time in the tank, but you know that you're kind of comfortable in the position that Monica Bolton Ramos was in, kind of pace yourself, attack at the right time, and if you smash that lap time in right at the end of the session, you're basically sending a message to everyone else on the grid, be like, this is what I can do, what can you do? And everyone else is basically sat there being like, where did that time come from? I could have got to you if it was only a 10th, but now it's 8, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, that is a huge step. As you say, the odd 10th here or there, you can probably try and work it out, but 8/10 is certainly a step to overcome that might be quite difficult indeed. But how much did you say the slipstream was? About 6/10 a lap. It could be, just White maybe having a couple of tenths in the locker as well, could be within that range, but certainly that is a big jump, and it doesn't look like Bolton Ramos is going to be improving as we get into the final minute of qualifying.
Yeah, but we know what this race start is. It's such a long run from here that who knows who's actually going to lead down into turn 1. Of course, the reminder back to turn 2 when we had that issue. Macy Hitter had a terrible start. But I do feel bad for her every time I say that. But her bad start was her saving grace last round. The fact that there was a crash ahead of her between Chloe Grant, Jess White and Monica Bolton Ramos that caused issues. The qualifying results coming in then, Monica Bolton Ramos setting the pole time at the moment, 56.819, 8/10 clear of Jess White. But that long run down to the Rettifilio, you literally can't make it up. If Jess White gets a good start, I mean, you'd be sure that she's going to lead, because you can just get into the slipstream and then use that to boost your race start.
Yeah, you can probably slipstream and overtake from the grid positions here, such as the long run down to that first chicane, and then getting a really nice outbraking maneuver done is going to be definitely possible. So do not count it out at all, as the girls now going to be getting on the grid for this midway point of the season. Can Ramos secure her third victory? But also she's had the 2 fastest laps as well, so 2 extra points she's gotten from the first 2 races, which is obviously just showing the speed that she's had. But can she do it once again?
Yeah, she has absolutely been smashing it so far in this season and looks to try and continue that. Her stranglehold in the championship does seem to continue, but the threat of Jess White, of Macy Hitter as well, who's starting directly behind her, can now really see what Monica Bolton-Ramos is doing. And Macy Hitter has been finding pace as the rounds has been going on. I'm sure she'll be able to at least find some way to march her way into contention, at least for this race win. We were teased a little bit at the Red Bull Ring, and we didn't quite get the race that we were so close to getting. It was looking like it was going to be a 4-way fight for the race lead. It wasn't in the end, but boy, it was an exciting round. We'll see what we can do here at the Temple of Speed. We're about to get underway in the ROKiT Racing Star Formula 4 Esports Competition UK for the girls' race. Monica Bolton-Ramos with Jess White alongside. It is a slightly better start from Jess White, who's going to pull alongside immediately down towards turn 1. She's already got the race lead before they've even looked at the brake pedal. Great start. It was a bad one again from Macy Hitter as she drops just below Ella Wrigley, who's gone for the dive. A little bit of contact. Monica Bolton-Ramos getting straight out of the way as she drops down to 4th position. A little bit of contact on the rear end as well, and Macy Hitter just getting a slight tap. It means it's Jess White and Ella Wrigley at the front. Monica Bolton-Ramos straight back up into 3rd.
Yeah, not the best start from Ramos at all. Getting involved there, a bit of a hitter coming through the 2nd corner. But to be honest, being on the safe side is where Ramos needs to be. She knows she's got the pace advantage, and now she can work her way back up through the field like she did a couple of weeks ago in Austria. And now it is Jess White taking the lead, as we kind of predicted, really looking very feisty this race. And now with a car in between her, with Wrigley there in 2nd place. I think this is a great position to for White to try and pull away a little bit and maybe lead for a few laps.
Now, this wouldn't be the first time that Ella Wrigley has looked backwards and seen the likes of, it was Macy Hitter, less so Monica Bolton-Ramos, but certainly had to see Macy Hitter overtake her back in Silverstone when she did the first round of the season, obviously returning and straight back into it, picking up the slipstream of Jess White. What a fantastic way to start this race. I'd say with Bolton-Ramos, going down to turn 1 was just really patient, was staying well. I knew she got a bad start and then thought, look, I can see that you're all having a bit of a kerfuffle here on the right-hand side. I'm just going to do my own thing and let you get on with all of that, and I'll pick you off one by one. Pretty much exactly what she did at Spielberg. Already looking to the inside of the Parabolica, she just dived straight down the inside of Ella Wrigley. Did that one work?
And trying to work
No,
out.
it didn't.
It didn't. Ramos gone for a spin. Too aggressive there into that final corner up the inside. He's gone for a spin down to, what is that going to be, about 5th place as it works out, and has to do all that work once again. Maybe being just a little bit impatient there with Wrigley in the final corner, because Wrigley was already sort of coming and turning into the corner just a little bit late, and now Ramos has loads to do.
Now, yeah, her workload for the evening was looking okay. It was looking like this is fine, could definitely still win, to now it's like, right, okay, you've got some work to do, girl. Let's get on with this. There is still plenty of time left in this race, of course, only 2.5 minutes completed, but wow, that's not ideal. I mean, the thing is, she's still obviously in position with a first, and a 5th, would definitely be in position to qualify, especially with the amount of girls that we've had across this season. But still, drama. We're going to be, I'm going to be completely honest anyway, we kind of wanted something like this because we know that Monica Bolton-Ramos has such ridiculous speed. She's now starting to show a bit of inconsistency in the racecraft, so she's not completely bulletproof. Needs to get back inside her own head and show that speed to us.
Especially with this first opponent of hers, Jazz Shaw. We've seen Jazz being a few seconds off the pace in the qualifying session, so Monica might catch up to her at a weird point in the track, and you don't want to be getting involved in any more collisions, maybe going into the pit lane like we saw a couple of drivers do in the previous race as well. So Ramos needs to try and come back from this, but not getting yourself worked up at the the mountain that you need to climb with the race. There's still plenty of time left in the race for you to be able to get back. You just need to do one step at a time, and this first one is getting past Jazz Shaw, which I think she's just able to do on the exit of Ascari.
I think you're right. Might have been better doing sitting a little bit further off the back and carrying the momentum off of the corner. Being a little bit squeezed here from Jazz Shaw. Continue to be squeezed. Well, that's a bit naughty, and I'm pretty sure that might annoy Monica Bolton-Ramos quite a bit here. Dives into the inside of the Parabolica, this time a little bit more secured on the brakes. Clears the position and does get past Jazz Shaw. I don't think would have been too pleased with that. Ella Wrigley, by the way, is starting to attack for the race lead. Ella Wrigley in second position is under 2/10 off of our race leader, Jess White. Wow. Go on, Ella Wrigley. Welcome back to the championship.
This is getting really close, and I think that's going to be a great fight that we're going to see. And as you mentioning earlier, Lewis, the slipstream here is going to be quite a big factor. So if you can get yourself into that range, it's just going to pull you along and then keep you in that fight between these two girls at the front, with a Macy Hitter not quite getting too involved just yet. So Wrigley's got a really good opportunity here to take the lead.
Yeah, this is certainly not what was on the call cards when we came into this round. Not what we were expecting to see. Jess White with Ella Wrigley behind, really using this opportunity to show why people should care about what is happening with these girls, because they are fantastic. And that drive off the corner there for Ella Wrigley is going to open her up. She's going to have the opportunity to go for a move down into Ascari. It's just whether she takes onto it. What does Jess White do? Sits over on the racing line, not covering off Ella Wrigley, who is looking down the inside, and to try and take the lead in the girls' race, diving it down on the brakes, does get down there, does take the race lead, and Ella Wrigley hits the front of the field. And look at that in the background, Macy Hitter straight over at Ascari.
Yeah, Hitter really trying to keep up with this battle for the lead, and Wrigley having a really good Ascari there as well, getting just quite a few car lengths actually ahead of Jess White. She might have already broken that slipstream effect as well, so Jess really needs to try and keep the pace to keep up here. Otherwise, Wrigley's going to be going off, showing she's got some really good speed at the moment.
I mean, this is interesting. This is getting very, very interesting. So Monica Bolton-Ramos around 8 seconds off of Macy Hitter. And I will just say that we did see a couple of mistakes. Despite it being a dominant performance at Silverstone, there were a few mistakes late in the race. I think we're just kind of seeing that. Thing is, that is critical. Look at that. We've still got them in shot. And so for Monica Bolton-Ramos, she can still see the race lead. She'll know it's Ella Wrigley. If it was Macy Hitter right now and it was that gap was starting to go out, she might be getting a bit concerned that this race win is slipping through her fingers. The fact is that I don't necessarily feel that is exactly the case. There is still potential, and prime potential, for this gap to come down. Although the last couple of laps from Ella Wrigley, you can kind of see it there on the lap times, her fastest lap being a 2:07.3. That's not obviously the case, considering that everyone else is running in the 59s. It's because the last lap she did not count.
Oh, she goes for a bit of a defensive move there, so she certainly knows that Jess White is coming on the back foot. Got a bit wide there, actually, through the first Lesmo, just showing some signs of maybe some nerves in the pole position of this battle. And once again, has a bit of a bad exit, 3 corners in a row, and now Jess White is really starting to hunt her down and come back for this lead.
Yeah, it's just whether that is going to happen. Ella Wrigley defensive once again. Jess White was very cautious around Ella Wrigley into this section and is not going to go for it here into Ascari. It's a great overtaking opportunity, but it is one that requires respect and bravery. You've got to respect your opponent, and you've got to be brave enough to give it a go. And certainly that is what Ella Wrigley felt right there. Jess White, though, deep into the slipstream, going to get to the outside of the Parabolica, but the weaving that Ella Wrigley was putting on is going to keep that green car at bay. Macy Hitter, though, I'm just going to say, I'm surprised she's not closing in right now.
Yeah,
Bit of
she's
a
got a
moment.
faster lap time though than Jess White, so there's certainly some pace there for Hitter. Just a few inconsistencies as we saw a lap and a half ago, going off at the Ascara chicane. Keeping on the grey stuff is certainly the most important, but now as we come towards turn number 1, Jess White, I think she might be just too far away to have a bit of a dive at this moment. By getting a good braking zone here into turn number 1 could set you up for a really good run around the Curva Grande.
Yeah, let's see. A little bit deep on the brakes, though, into the opening corner. And a little bit too much on the power, and Ella Wrigley's gone round. Oh, that is such a shame. She was doing so well. Loops it on the exit of the first corner. That is why Monza is so difficult. Getting your braking right and getting onto the throttle nice and easily. Just lit it up a little bit too much. These cars are tricky to drive. We spoke about that quite a lot, particularly with their curb usage back in Spielberg. And that just kind of showed it once again.
Yeah, this is certainly a tricky little car to drive, and just going in or coming out of turn 2 just a tiny bit too fast there for Wrigley, looping it as you say, and now is going to be under threat from Bolton Ramos, who is coming their way, doing some good lap times as well in the last couple of laps since she's got herself or put herself back there with the spin earlier on. So this could be an interesting time for Ella Wrigley, sort of in a similar situation to Ramos. Now she's had the issues, she's had the mistakes. Now just needs to keep it calm and try and get back up to the higher positions. And Macy Hitter is still not too far up the road for her.
Yeah, this is where things, like I say, start to get a little bit more interesting. The last lap times between Jess White and Macy Hitter. Macy Hitter was half a second faster with a 58.531. The last lap time from Jess White being a 59.018. The last lap time from Monica Bolton Ramos, well, that was a 57.3, just a tenth shy of the fastest lap of the race that she set, being a 57.2. Let's see what Jess White does across the line this time by. Might need to start just trying to find a little bit more pace, because every time Macy Hitter gets a bit closer, she's picking up more of that slipstream, more of that speed, more of that advantage, and will close in. As Monica Bolton Ramos had a bit more of an issue. I think she has. I think Monica Bolton Ramos has looped it somewhere on this lap, because that gap is much, much bigger. Jess White does improve to a 58.8, which was only 2 tenths, or about 10 and a bit faster than Macy Hitter. Monica Bolton Ramos, a 2-minute 4.0, definitely had a major issue on that lap, potentially around Ascari.
Yeah, this consistency is the deciding factor of this race at the moment, with Jess White keeping it in a good, keeping herself in a good position the whole race so far, keeping it at the front, with Macy Hitter just a couple of seconds behind. And yeah, those consistent laps is where you're going to be really winning these races. Because even in a 30-minute race, it's not the longest race in the world, but it's also not a 10-minute sprint race. There's certainly time for you to make mistakes and then also potentially come back from them. So yeah, that is the sort of the key part for a couple of these girls to learn and get more comfortable with, as they always in the background.
Ella
Wrigley into the barrier, losing the front wing as well. I believe that is potentially going to be causing a pit stop, and just showing actually Ramos must have had an issue, because even with that from Wrigley, Ramos is still in 4th place.
Well, I mean, we saw with Macy Hitter losing her front wing going through the penultimate corner at Spielberg. It's not fun to drive a car like this. Despite it not being the highest downforce car in the world, it is not fun to drive. And we are seeing that once again, keeping well off the track. That is heads-up driving from Ella Wrigley, I will say that. Went in a little bit too deep at Ascari, and rather than just absolutely barreling onto the racing circuit, which I do know someone in a high-level motorsport championship in a red open-wheeled car do not that long ago, that's heads up. I like that.
Yeah, that is using the old mirrors, having a bit of spatial awareness and observation to see that coming, because as you say, that would have been a horrific accident if they made contact at that point. I mean, we've seen that in real life a few years ago in Formula One as well. So yeah, very difficult for you to sort of sacrifice your own race for someone else in that situation, because you just want to get back on the track as soon as possible, but having that awareness to not hit a competitor is very important.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that is easier said than done. Now, I know this seems ridiculous, as Ella Wrigley, I believe, has come into the pit lane to go and service the car. Worth staying in the race just to picking up the points, because obviously if they retire, they don't pick up any points. That's why Chloe Grant has a bit of a goose egg on the points standings. You do have to reach the checkered flag to score points, and so in that sense, better off just to get out there, just to circulate, just to score the points for potentially finishing 7th, although with Ella Wrigley's pace, 5th is definitely on the cards. She's obviously dropping down because the damage repair still being done. So hopefully we'll see her back out in the race. Green car just ahead of Macy Hitter. Of course, I was going to say it's Monica Bolton Ramos then, because I'm used to the black car being Monica Bolton Ramos as we have for the last couple of rounds. That is
Oh no!
That's Jess White, and that's Ella Wrigley picking up a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That is rough.
Oh, that is. I mean, to be honest, with no front winger makes the pit entry even harder. But yeah, that is such a shame, because you've already had a sort of hindrance in your race, and now you got to go through again. And because of the style of pit lane this is, you actually lose so much time at Monza compared to other circuits. It's obviously really long and slow pit lane, but just everyone else is flat out, almost top speed coming past as well. So they effectively gain more distance on you because of that. So yeah, it's probably one of the worst tracks on the calendar for that, unfortunately. And Ella Wrigley, as you say, her target now is just getting to the end of the race and seeing where she can go in the next couple of races. But certainly a learning curve it has been today.
Yeah, she's got to navigate Lois Millward, who's not too far ahead of her at the moment. So it probably needs to navigate that pretty sharpish and then come straight into the pit lanes. We refocus on Ella Wrigley. There is Lois Millward just ahead. We do know that Lois Millward does race on a controller, so that in a sense is a struggle in itself. It is extremely difficult to race at any level on a controller. You can kind of see it there, just trying to line up into the braking zone. That's just how difficult it can be. Struggling its way through. Ascari is, another major issue from Ella Wrigley. This is, I understand why, but this is why we see a few mistakes always stack up from drivers. When they make one, it's so easy to make that second one.
Yeah, and you get, especially if it's maybe to do with a feeling in the car, you start like overthinking and second guessing and sort of getting a bit of a fixation on that situation, or how that car feels in that certain corner, and it can just make you drive a bit worse. Sometimes the best way was that she's coming back in once again. Yeah,
that's quick. I think
that's probably
speeding.
Yeah. Oh no, that's possibly going to be another one, because that line is pretty much where that wall starts, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll have to see when Wrigley, because I assume they get it when they leave the pit lanes, when the actual penalty gets awarded. But that would not be good to get a penalty when penalty as she comes.
Unfortunately, that was very predictable in way too hot. The thing is, I will give one little bit of playing devil's advocate a little bit to this, is that normally in racing I'd be like, that's a pretty unacceptable mistake. To make twice, to make it once is sort of like, right, okay. To make it twice is sort of like, right, don't do that. And we've seen that a few times in this championship so far. The reason being is that these are of course sprint races, half an hour long, yes, but at no point through the pre-qualifying and the races, the qualifying session itself, do they see the entrance to the pit lane. They don't see it. The only time they see the exit of the pit lane, to be quite honest, is in qualifying, in the actual qualifying session of the event, because the pre-qualifying, I'm pretty sure you already start on the racetrack. You don't have to do an outlap. So you don't go near the pit lane. So a lot of these drivers won't understand how the pit lane sequence does. Like, does the speed limiter come on automatically? Do I have to turn it on? Is it going to automatically try and pull me in the box? Does the AI take over? Do I do it? Like, what happens? And when you've played the F1 games for so long, particularly the earlier ones, we all know how it is in those games. You just hold the throttle down and you wait till the AI slows you down. In this, you've got to do it.
Yeah, that is the sort of next step in the simulation level compared to some other games and arcades out there. But sort of being prepared for those sorts of eventualities is something that the top drivers will do either way. Because one thing actually I always used to do is I would it always go and sort of check where my pit box was as well, and that sort of thing. Just those little things. Obviously, when you have the ability to do so, it's always good to be able to do that just over the course of the couple of weeks of the pre-qualifying. Even just going to the single player situation, maybe have a race there yourself just to work out what is going on. But yeah, it's not necessarily needed, but it's always a good thing to just be that one step ahead in that regard.
I think particularly when it's a drive-through penalty, you just need to drive well within yourself when you're coming in to serve that drive-through penalty. Your race is already, or serving a damage penalty. Your race is already essentially done. It's already finished. It's already over. Bring it down just a little bit and just avoid getting a silly mistake like that. I mean, I will agree with you, Cam, but I have done way too many races where I start and I realise, hang on, hold up a sec. I never did a practice to pit lane entry. Fantastic. Happens mostly in oval racing because you always expect yellows. But it is one of those things that, to me, yes, practicing and everything like that, I get it. But around circuits like this, it kind of needs to be a feeling thing. You need to have that experience and knowledge that if you haven't practiced it, it should still be almost second nature, because you're kind of like, yeah, maybe you don't know what the pit lane speed limit is, but we always know to aim. If you don't know what it is, aim for 60 kilometers an hour, because that's 9 times out of 10 the slowest it will be. Right?
Yeah.
In fact, I don't think there's a track on racing where pit lane speed limit is slower than 60. And then if it is higher, if it goes up to 80, well, you just accelerate up to it. You've lost a little bit of time, but fair enough.
And always the gain of going in slightly too fast is always never worth the drive-through as well. So you can always save yourself the 30 seconds of going through the pit lane, whereas instead you maybe lose half a second by just being that tiny bit too early as well. But that's just something that you sort of get used to and learn over the course. You need to learn what's important and what is not, as we've seen Ella Wrigley there with a bit of giving a bit of slipstream, but unfortunately being still in that 7th place, but actually only a few seconds off Lois Millward, so there might be a position back for Wrigley quite soon.
She's helping Jess White out here quite a bit with the lap times. 58.5 for the previous lap time from Jess White, 58.1 was the previous lap time from Macy Hitter, and there is Lois Millward directly ahead. Of course, remember that she does have to serve a penalty, does Ella Wrigley. She's still got to serve the drive-through. But as they close up, this will be a little bit of a trying moment for Jess White. Seeing a couple of back markers up ahead, praying, hoping that they're kind. They jump out of the way. Oh, there's a little bit of side-by-side between them. It is Ella Wrigley getting past Lois Millward. Lois Millward allowing Jess White to pass. And same with Ella Wrigley allowing Jess White to pass. Nice back marking from them. Should also allow, a little bit tight there from Macy Hitter coming round and just being delayed ever so slightly by Ella Wrigley.
Yeah, but always, I think Lois Millward's got off a little bit in the background there, coming out of the first Lesmo, as Wrigley's actually going to almost a little bit side by side here with Hitter coming up to the Ascarish Chamber. She's going to back out of that one, and Hitter still in a sort of potential to catch up to Jess White, but Jess White holding it out at the moment. She was a bit slower on the previous lap, but still doing enough at the moment to keep in that lead. And now we're into the final 10 minutes, and it's looking pretty good for her at this moment in time, but just needs to keep it on the track as she's been doing so far.
With the time left in the race being 8.5 minutes, we are 5 laps from the checkered flag. Now that gap is closing. Monica Bolton-Ramos is also closing down. To be fair, I'd have even said before the previous mistake that she had, I would have said that she could still have gotten up to the race lead. Like, she is rolling around that fast as Ella Wrigley does dive into pit lane to serve that drive-through. We'll all keep our fingers crossed, ladies and gentlemen, that she does not get a third return to pit lane, because that for me is almost certainly an Alt F4 moment. We'll have to wait and see. It's looking good. That is a very solid F. I don't know how else to put that.
You can't put that as an F, unfortunately. Yeah, that is just a bit of a shame for Ella Reilly, who's been showing some decent pace. And to be honest, I think just as we said earlier, just getting to the end of the race, keeping those points is going to be quite good for her, because also she's missed a round. So keeping yourself sort of in the game with the championship, not putting the pressure on those final 2 races, because if she doesn't get points this race, then really getting the points in the next 2 could be quite crucial. You never know what is going to happen. So yeah, just getting to the end of the race now is really the important thing. But yeah, when you're at this point, sometimes obviously you just need to sort of go extremely slow just to make sure you're serving it and then getting back on with your race.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, I have in all my years of sim racing, I have only ever had that once where I've got a drive-through whilst serving a drive-through. It is a horrible feeling, and when I said about joking about it's an Alt F4, it's just pulling the plug straight out, so to speak, that is actually what I did. It was at Silverstone, came into the pit lane to serve for a pit stop, got a drive-through penalty. I thought, right, got a drive-through penalty. That's rough. I'm going to come in. I'm going to serve. As soon as I crossed the start, the line to enter pit lane, I was like, I know I've sped. I know I've gone too quick here, but I was like, I'm just going to see. I'm just going to wait it out. As soon as I left the pit lane, it was like, bam, there's your drive. I was like, nope. It is not my day. Nope. I'm going to go and do something else. I'm going to go and turn on Netflix. I'm just going to go and watch some TV.
Yes, some days racing can be like that. You are right. It's not always winning and holding the trophies, but that is why a lot of these competition, well, yeah, especially not for us, that's why we're doing this right now. But that is why a lot of these competitions are sort of a series over the course of a number of races. Oh, as Jess White there goes a bit too deep, loses the rear end slightly, catches it, but is going to be losing the race lead. Macy Hitter goes to the front, and with only 5 minutes left, that could be race deciding. That
is a critical error from Jess White, and look who is ready to pounce. Of course, it's our championship leader, Monica Bolton Ramos. That is such a shame for Jess White. Same mistake that Ella Wrigley had. There is straight down the inside. Monica Bolton Ramos looking for it into the second Lesmo. A little bit too deep there from Jess White. Bolton Ramos might be able to get to the inside coming down to Ascari. I don't think it's quite close enough. But what a gift. I hope it's her birthday at some point in the near future, because that is a delightful present for Macy Hitter.
Yeah, that is a really good position for her to be in, because it's about 7 seconds as well. There's plenty of time. She can cruise now through the last 3 laps is going to be as she comes towards the line. But now someone who can't cruise is Jess White, because Ramos is over a second a lap for the last 3 laps quicker and is really coming up on the back of these girls anyway. And Jess White's just given her the best opportunity. Ramos to the inside. Can she get herself up into second place? Can she keep it on the track this time? Yes, she can. Ramos back into second place. And now it's Jess White with only a few laps remaining who needs to get in that slipstream and try and get this place back.
Yeah, but to be fair, if you're Jess White, I'd almost wait. There's a couple of laps left to go in this race. Just following. This is more to break the slipstream rather than aggressive defensive moves from Bolton Ramos. You can see Jess White there looking. Oh, she is not going to start waiting. She's thinking, right, if you can defend like that, I'm going for it then. A little bit too deep on the brakes there from Bolton Ramos. Smashes the curb on the first part of the Rettifilio. But it is Jess White in third position, Bolton Ramos in second, and Macy Hitter leading the race. Macy Hitter, by the way, as much as it's not really much of a stat, has been on the podium twice this season, once with a second place, once with a third place. How fitting it would be to have 3 podiums and have the third one be a first place.
I do love records like that. It's always good. It's Wrigley gets another drive.
Oh, use the brake pedal, love. Oh,
just a couple more laps, and this let's call it an annoying race for her will be over with a couple of weeks to go before we get to Spa-Francorchamps in the next race. And if you want to get yourself involved with that, the qualifying is open on the RaceRoom competition pages, so do go and check that out, as we're seeing a really good battle for the podium. This could be you.
Yeah, just to let you know, by the way, that qualifying, obviously, as I say, is open now. It's open until the 14th of March, and our race will be in 2 weeks' time from today on the 19th of March. And Macy Hitter just picking up a little bit of gravel on the departure of Ascari there, leading very comfortably, 7 seconds clear with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. I'm not going to do the full one. That's a bit of a snap there into Parabolica. Plenty of time left in the race. This is going to be 2 more laps. Jess White has plenty more opportunities to try and get past Monica Bolton-Ramos, and she has the pace to do it.
Yeah, she certainly has, and this is going to be a really exciting final part of the race, with Ramos there going with her sort of personal line there down the inside of the track, as Jess White is trying to get that slipstream, but Ramos is just holding on for now as we come towards turn 1 for another time. Jess White actually gaining a little bit there on the brakes into that corner, certainly looking quite good, but just needs those extra couple of car lengths to really make an overtake stick.
Again, 2 laps to go. There is plenty of time for Jess White to pick away back past Monica Bolton-Ramos. And to be fair, might want to just sit there at least for the longest while, because you know how fast Bolton-Ramos is in this race. I'm not going to say that she's going to close all the way down to Macy Hitter. Absolutely not. 6 seconds is quite a long margin. But if Macy Hitter makes any sort of mistake, if Bolton-Ramos is there, if she's pulling you along, if she's going that fast, it's not a bad position to be in, to sit there in third with the way the slipstream works around this. Also, a little bit deep there from Bolton-Ramos. If you're excited by this, by the way, the boys' race will be up in a few moments' time after this. We've obviously got to do qualifying and then got to do the boys' race, and that was fantastic at Spielberg. I'm pretty sure we're going to get very much the same here.
Yeah, the multiple car slipstream trains are going to be insane here. We've just seen how good it is with just a one-on-one battle with Macy Hitter now coming out of Ascari, and I think she's just going to get to the line before, so there should be another lap in this race, which means Jess White as well in the background has another opportunity to get up into this second place, as she's been looking so good with them battling now as they come towards the final corner, but still just 1 lap to go.
Yeah, Jess White going on the attack. Remember, of course, it is 20 seconds from the Parabolica towards the checkered flag, hopefully for Macy Hitter to do. But the line is quite late, I will say that, as Monica Bolton-Ramos does still hold on to second position. Slipstream, it's out. White flag is out. Final lap of the race is about to begin. Bolton-Ramos is under a lot of pressure here, and I don't know if necessarily she would have expected that after qualifying. It was these two that started on the front row. Macy Hitter from that third spot eyed up Bolton-Ramos down into T1, tried to eye up the race lead straight away. Unfortunately, a little bit of a mistake, but she did come back a little bit later on. Bolton-Ramos a little bit tight on the exit of the Rettifilio, could allow a bit better drive to Jess White.
Yeah, Jess White certainly closer out of the first chicane this time round, but once again, not quite in the main slipstream, because the slipstream, if you didn't know, it really ramps up the closer you get to the car. The effect just increases and increases, sort of on a quadratic equation style. Ooh. As you get closer. But Ramos there just holding on to this second place for now.
You were the fancy big words. Didn't know you were that smart, mate.
Motorsport degree, mate. Let's go. So Macy Hitter back at the front has been leading the way for the last sort of 5-10 minutes or so before Jess White, or after Jess White, I should say, made that mistake at the second chicane, and Hitter, after a tricky sort of start to the season, not getting a couple of results that she would have hoped for, is now leading the way with just a couple of corners to go. But the battle for that second place is certainly still on, but it looks like Ramos has got a comfortable lead there coming out of Ascari for the final time, and it looks like it's going to potentially finish the way it is.
Yeah, it's too much. Surely it's too much for Jess White, unless there's a mistake from Bolton-Ramos. 1.5 seconds. We've seen a mistake from Bolton-Ramos, though, down into this corner. Certainly none so from Macy Hitter today as she departs the Parabolica. Before this season, in the previous 2 rounds, Monica Bolton-Ramos has won both of the races. She hasn't led a single lap today, and it is Macy Hitter taking her 3rd consecutive podium across the line. She's fixed all her issues and has sorted it for today. day and takes race victory ahead of Monica Bolton-Ramus and Jess White. That mistake from Jess White, though, could she have won without it? She was really in the prime position and did not seem to be folding to any of the pressure behind. Jazz Shaw will be the next one to cross the line with a 4th place finish on her debut in the championship, although she does have a fair way to go. That shows how dominant the top 3 are. She hasn't actually finished the race yet. She just has a long way. I think that Charlotte Bell was a lap down, so I think she will be finishing the race. And Ella Wrigley has another drive to penalty serve. She's not going to do it, so I think she's going to get a time penalty, so she'll probably finish in 7th spot.
Yeah, that is a bit of a disappointing race for a couple of the girls, but I think Macy Hitt will be very happy with that, keeping herself in a good position throughout the whole race. And when a couple of the other girls made a few mistakes around her, getting that victory, which is going to be quite important. And just showing you that it doesn't matter necessarily how fast you are, because Bolton-Ramus once again getting that fastest lap of the race, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win the race, and winning the race is obviously where the points are getting paid out. But still 2 races to go in this championship to try and get yourself a place in that final.
Yeah, of course, we'll be heading to Spa and Hockenheimring next as Jazz Shaw seems to have a fair amount of love in the chat, so we'll watch Jazz Shaw cross the line. I believe our final finisher in the day's action, as we'll see our finishers of it. Of course, Macy Hitt victorious, Monica Bolton-Ramus behind, then Jess White, Jazz Shaw, Charlotte Bell, Lois Millward and Ella Wrigley does get demoted with a 90-second penalty for missing her final drive-through penalty, having quite a torrid time of it today. Of course, we'll be back in a few moments' time for the boys' race. We'll set up 20 of those and see who's going to come out on top. It's been Dylan Moran so far this season. Will it be another time this race? We'll be back after this.
This is not only a racing simulator. This is a simulator with 100% Formula One feeling. Made of carbon, it moves over 3 axes and lets you feel every bump, curb and curve on your ride. The belts press you into the seat when you brake and accelerate. You get the G-forces up close. Real brake and accelerator pedals, as well as an original Formula One steering wheel, complete the driving experience. Welcome to Racing Unleashed.
Employability is a critical aspect of the course. We make sure we maintain employment links, we give placement opportunities, there's opportunities with race teams. We also make sure we embed core skills needed for life in the industry. The NTME embodies something called project-based learning. So what we do is we build on engineering fundamentals in the first year, and then we embody a real-life industrial scale project in the second year, and you'll design and develop your own race vehicle. That's pretty unique.
I chose Bolton because they have a good variety of courses on the engineering department.
This facility, brand new facility, is fantastic. We have a brand new workshop, we have brand new computing equipment upstairs.
The lectures are really helpful, they're really easy to understand, and if you don't understand something, they'll change the method of teaching so that you do understand it.
Absolutely brilliant, absolutely brilliant. The amount of support is just unbelievable, and I think because there's not a lot of students in one class, so you kind of get this more personal relationship with teachers, and it's fantastic.
The best element for me is the fact that we get a lot of outside work, so we do a lot of track work and work experience, and internships are available, quite a wide range for this course.
Has to be, without a doubt, the British Rallycross. That was my first proper experience of motorsport, hands-on in a team environment, and to be able to take that from spanners at the very beginning of the season all the way up to managing data for the finale where we won in incredible circumstances. It was just a fantastic achievement and a fantastic start to my motorsport career.
Well, the boys' race is ready to go as well. More qualifying to go as we are, as we've said before, halfway through the season. Once we wrap up here in Monza, we'll be back in a couple of weeks' time at one of the most legendary circuits in motorsport. Of course, it is Spa-Francorchamps, and you can see that the qualifying is open for it at the moment. It closes on the 14th of March. If you yourselves fancy taking part in this championship, you absolutely can do. Go onto Steam, download RaceRoom. It's a free download and it's a free competition to come and enter. You must be a UK resident between the ages of 14 and 15 to participate, but once you do, you can get yourselves onto a fantastic grid like this. If you fancy any more details, you can head to racingstar.com. All of the necessary information is on there. Girls race cam was very enjoyable. I think the boys' race, we've seen them step it up every single time. They've got a bit of work to do to step it up on that one, but we know how fast these guys are.
Yeah, these guys always prove to put on a good show for us. Spielberg a couple of weeks ago was great, but Monza is going to be even more crazy. I think the massive trains we're going to see, especially in the first sort of 5 laps, are going to be really good. The drivers are going to need to be sort of a bit smart about how they do this, because you're potentially going to be seeing one guy go past 2 cars or so. And there's actually a few new names on the grid as well who need to get up to speed with things and just see how close and competitive these drivers are racing in the first couple of races of the season.
Yeah, in those first 2 races, we'll take a look at the standings. Dylan Warren taking victories in both of the opening races of the season. Of course, absolutely dominates the championship standings because of it. Theo Mercuris, who has topped pre-qualifying in the previous round and today as well, is in second position. Zach Sweeney just behind in that 3rd spot. And I will say, there are a few names up there that you'd kind of expect, maybe a few that you wouldn't. Kai Baccini, who's in 6th position. The reason why there's only 15 points to his name is because whilst running well at Silverstone, really well at Silverstone, in 2nd spot in fact, after disconnection or a game crash or something from the game, basically was brought out of the race despite being in a good position. That is rough and means that you kind of need these kind of rounds to build yourself back up into it.
Yeah, it's rough, but you just get on with it, and you do have the drop rounds as well, so he just needs to make sure he's getting the points in the other races. And here today in Monza is another opportunity after a good showing last time as well. And yeah, the 5.7 kilometer track here at Monza with the 4 straights is going to prove quite hectic. So keeping on top of those battles and using your sort of racecraft in certain situations, knowing which battles to get yourself involved with, I think is going to be quite crucial here to get yourself towards the front.
Well, qualifying is underway in the boys' race. We'll take a look at the entry list, I believe, to see who is taking part in this round. There's Theo Mercuris, Dylan Warren, a couple of new names in the form of Deegan Fairclough, Bryn Collins as well, a name that might be recognised a little bit from the esports world, of course. His brother Charlie Collins races for Coansis. Well, I think has been racing this evening in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup. There is one change on there that isn't on this entry list, and that is Will Young, who is in 16th position, wasn't able to make it tonight. So Joe Hayes Jr., who has had 2 top 10 finishes this season, will be taking over that place. Cam, let's go take a look at what is happening in qualifying. About to get that one underway. First couple of laps about to start. It's already a little bit frantic out here on the racetrack. We've already completed their out laps. These evenings are starting to fly past.
Oh, they absolutely are. And talking about flying past someone, slipstream in qualifying, this could be crucial. There is going to be just a couple of tenths between some of these drivers. So getting the slipstream in the correct part of the track on your qualifying lap might jump you 3-4 tenths, maybe even half a second if you get it right. And that could be so crucial with the grid positions here today.
Well, our pre-qualifying leader, Theo Mercuris, just lets past Fabian Bollen there on the run down into the first of the Lesmos. I keep wanting to call them the Degners. Definitely the wrong circuit. But I think already calling this lap quits is Theo Mercuris after dropping it ever so slightly. There is Bryn Collins. So Coanda Junior driver. Anyone who doesn't know the name Coanda, go and check out some more sim racing. Coanda are basically a dominant force in pretty much everything, and he is one of their junior drivers, the Welshman. This is a driver that I'm very curious to see because I've not seen race. His brother is enormously fast. And I kind of wonder if Bryn is going the same way. Bearing in mind to get onto a grid like this, probably yes.
Yeah, I do know a couple of other sort of sibling relationships, and generally, if one's fast, they both are. And let's see how this one works out for Bryn coming out of the final corner in that wonderful orange car coming towards the line. And as you said, Lewis, the sort of the finish line is so far down at the beginning of the grid before you wait, and it's already a 55.2.
Yeah, decent start there from Bryn Collins. Oliver Bunn, who was actually very impressive in the previous round at Spielberg, 56.003, a fair way off at the moment of now Deegan Fairclough. Gets up there, one of our debutantes to the season, less than a tenth off of Bryn Collins' time. It's showing that this season's getting more and more competitive. That was shown in the pre-qualifying where the times, obviously, it's not the most complex circuit in the racetrack, but it is quite a long one. The times were insanely close, and they were changing in the final moments, so much so that it was Jamie Bradfield who improved with less than half an hour to go and went from outside of the top 20 to inside, and that is why he's racing today.
Yeah, every lap counts, and when it is so close, when it's literally thousandths and hundredths of a second between drivers, getting every corner linked up is so important. And especially in the qualifying, it doesn't matter if you do your lap on the first day or if you do it in the last 15 minutes, as we saw there. Getting on the board is so important, and fortunately for him, he managed to do so and get himself on the grid for today's race. As we mentioned, you can yourself get involved with this. Qualifying is open, and as you can see, it is so close and so competitive. I think it's shaping up to be a good race as Bryn Collins seems to be improving in this middle sector.
Yeah, well, there was a car that was going slow, by the way, on the stretch on the run down into... Oh, there's a car off in the background. I think that might be Nathan Clifford off right at the end of the straight coming out of the Ascari chicane. There was one going slow. It was Jack Badger who was just trying to pull out, was actually trying to team up with Oliver Bunn. We'll see if Bryn Collins can improve. Decent middle sector, consistent in the first sector, and crossing the line, there is an improvement from Bryn Collins. It's just not very major. Actually, not necessarily sure. It's just improvement in the final sector. It wasn't enough to tackle it overall. Oliver Bunn does improve, and look at that from Theo Mercouris. The jump all the way up onto the second row of the grid. One driver we do expect to see big things out of today. Finished second in the previous round and fourth in the first. And there is the driver that has led every single lap in the boys' race of the championship. I think he might have a bit of a hard task to lead there from fourth.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult because last race, certainly Theo Mercouris followed him, let's say, for the whole race. Theo wasn't really battling him or trying to overtake. They were just working together, letting the guys behind do the battling and lose time themselves. So that gap between those top two of Warren and Mercouris really opened up as the race progressed. And then as it got to the final lap, it seemed maybe they had an inner agreement between themselves. But either way, Mercouris didn't battle Warren in the end, who held on for his second race victory of the season. But I do wonder if Theo is going to be taking a lot of confidence from that race and trying to get the victory himself today.
Thing is teaming up on a race circuit. It sounds like it's an easy thing to do with the slipstream. Work together. Let's just try and pull yourselves along and get to the end of the race. It sounds like it would be easier around a race circuit. It's not. It's the opportunity to trip up over yourself is so much higher. Nathan Clifford directly ahead of Dylan Warren here into the braking zone. Really good middle sector there, courtesy of the slipstream. Dropped on Dylan Warren from Nathan Clifford, but now that's how it works. Had to slow down a little bit more on the run through Ascari and might well lose time. It's Marcus Lucio, by the way, in the foreground with, I think, Devon Edge, or no, it might be Jack Badger just on the rear end. What does Dylan Warren do here? Does he just go for it? He's going to be losing time, surely.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why he got to time it perfectly, because you can then effectively get caught up on the car in front of you and end up losing time because it's down the straights where you want to be getting that slipstream. And let's see where Dylan Warren is going to put himself with this lap. Almost a bit of bump drafting there, coming towards the line.
Boom.
And going to the top with a 54. First one in the 54s, and he's by some way as well. Few tenths to the cars behind. That's really just showing how powerful that slipstream can be.
Yeah, that is a monster lap time there, and critical to get that one in at that point. Brilliant stuff there from Dylan Warren. There's a reason why he's won both of the races, and he is our championship leader. Definitely knows what he's doing when it comes to taking on a race circuit when we visit them in this car. That slipstream, though, kind of means, right, okay, if you want to fight me for pole position, you've got to find some assistance here. You can't just do it by yourself anymore. You've got to get that help.
It reminds me so much of the qualifying in motorbike racing as well. It's so important to be getting that slipstream, and also especially if you're following someone who's pretty fast, you can use them as a reference point coming into the corners as well. And in a car like this, the slipstream is obviously more powerful than the dirty air you get in the corners, so you can really stay quite close as long as you're not getting on top of them as such, and physically touching them really through the corners. So it's so important to find that gauge of someone, and maybe a Fairclough here following Warren could use that to good effect.
The fastest time in pre-qualifying was a 54, and it was quite a faster one than Dylan Warren's, which obviously pre-qualifying is done away from slipstream, so there is more pace in the tank, although fueling is set to 1 litre and all that, so it's not 1 for 1. But Theo Mercuris set a 54.663, so did go a fair amount faster than the time at Dylan Warren, but you've got to track to yourself. You're not tripping over everyone trying to drive around the circle. We'll focus on Deegan Fairclough, who we've seen race a fair few times in sim racing. More typically, I don't know about you, Cam, I do believe more so on R-Factor 2. Not so much experience, I believe, from Deegan Fairclough on RaceRoom. And that might be a hindrance, might actually help, might show what is actually possible.
Well, I mean, he's certainly pretty fast, and being fast on multiple sims as he clouts the curb there in turn 1. But being fast on multiple sims is quite difficult because they all have their slight little nuances and driving styles that suit them. So to cover all bases with them is fairly difficult indeed. But I have seen him being fast in open wheels on other sims, as you say, such as R-Factor 2. So in sort of the lower Formula style cars as well. So certainly a good opportunity. The second chicane as well just messes up and potentially is slowing down Warren on his lap, and that is the exact reason why in Warren's position you can't get too close to the car ahead, otherwise you're just going to lose time yourself.
This is the thing, is that if you are close, you're gaining the most time, but unless you're getting ahead, this is why we've seen Ferrari mess it up time and time again. Every time we go to racing at Monza, is that it's such a difficult thing to slipstream right, because if you're too close, then you have to back off, obviously, and that it's more down to dirty air as well, which is not so much a thing in these. It's a little bit of a factor. It always is going to be. You're always going to be removing a slight amount of downforces there right in the nose. That's Devon Edge coming through. I will just say, as much as that is ridiculous how they were doing it, Devon Edge's lap had already gone at turn 1. We did catch that going off in the foreground, but that still wasn't great. It's Adam Alderton who's just coming through there in the background to now pass Devon Edge, and might pick up a bit of a slipstream from these two, although they are coming to a stop on the backstretch. I don't like that very much, I'll say that.
Yeah, finding the slipstream often causes more issues than it can often reward you with, as we see in there. P10 Zach Sweeney doing a great job so far this season. Really one who's maybe not qualifying quite so high, but then he's making up positions, and he's having really good racecraft in the race itself to get those positions, put himself towards the front. Currently in that 10th place, 1 second off, but on this lap getting a really good slipstream from Nathan Clifford.
Yeah, qualified in 6th position in... he's moving back 2 positions every round. 6th position in round 1, 8th position in round 2, presently in 10th position in round 3 of the season. Like I say, great racecraft. I think has put on a move in the final lap of the race in both of the previous races, and normally they're outside of a ridiculous corner passes as well. Well, this is not going to be one of those. Straight to the inside. That's a little bit naughty. Do understand why, but that is a little bit naughty from Zach Sweeney to dive down the inside of Nathan Clifford there. He is on a lap as well.
Yeah, this is why the slipstream game is just so hard. Timing it perfectly is close to impossible, because there's quite a lot of variables, and yeah, they're both just losing themselves time here. And actually, that's going to be it for their session, because they're not going to have enough time to complete the next lap.
Yeah, that is it. We are running into the final laps to complete within this session. So it does seem like Zach Sweeney is going to be starting from 10th place. Nathan Clifford a few positions ahead with 6th place. Oh, saying that, look at that improvement there from Liam O'Sullivan. It's dropped now for Zach Sweeney down to 11th position. O'Sullivan gets himself inside the top 10. Bryn Collins quite close into the Bryn Collins. Boom, there we go. There is the pole time from Bryn Collins to slap it up there. I was about to say he got into the 54s, now improves on that and grabs himself pole.
And these two are half a second away from Fairclough as well. So great laps from those two drivers, and getting himself towards the front in the dying seconds of this session. And as you say, Lewis, when it gets to that 0, time is up. So drivers starting their laps now will not have enough time. So only the drivers just really coming through sector 3 now will be able to improve their time and get themselves up the grid. But yeah, those 2 times at the front from Collins and Warren is certainly very fast and looking very good indeed.
There is one lap time that might be able to get completed. It's from Chambord Lavage, who's sat in 8th position, although it might be me going a bit crazy. He is coming out of the final corner now. It does have 7 seconds. See if there is going to be an improvement. At the moment, though, it is Bryn Collins on that pole position. Chambord Lavage crosses the line and doesn't improve, so fair enough. Bryn Collins, Dylan Moore and Deegan Fairclough. 2 of our debutants to the season right up there with at the thick end of things. That's fantastic.
Yeah, certainly is. And Fairclough, I think, just improved there a little bit as well. He's only now a 10th and a bit away, so getting a bit closer in the final seconds himself as we go to the race session now. But yeah, I think this is shaped up to be an amazing race. And as you saw a little bit further down as well, there are so many drivers within tenths of a second of each other. That mid pack of the field is going to be so crucial with the points system as well, going to that 10th place.
Well, the girls' race had drama at turn 1. I'm pretty sure the boys' race will as well. 20 cars will take to the grid in round number 3 of our season. Lewis McGlade, Cameron Rodger in the commentary booth to take you through all of the action over the next half an hour of this race. A fantastic pole position from Bryn Collins, but he's got the man of the moment alongside on the front row of the grid. It is going to be a tricky and very, very long run down to turn 1 and potentially a long afternoon of hard racing. Here we go then, about to get underway in the boys' race of the ROKiT Racing Start Formula 4 Esports Competition UK, as Bryn Collins and Dylan Warren will start from the front row. Deegan Fairclough, who we focus on now, is about to get underway, and look at that start from Marcus Lucio from 5th position, already getting up into 4th. Great start as well from Nathan Clifford in the green car. Great start from Bryn Collins. It is going to be attack from Dylan Warren, but Collins is clear, and look at that from Nathan Clifford, straight down the inside to attack for the podium. They're 3 wide for 3rd. A little bit of argy-bargy going through the first corner, and it is Lucio from 5th all the way up into 3rd. Deegan Fairclough dropping down into 4th.
Mercurius as well, having a bit of a bad start there, dropping down to that 6th place, losing out with his man from last race, Dylan Warren. But as you say, Lucio there in a really good position now, trying to go almost 3 wide once again, coming down into the 2nd chicane, manages to hold on, but there's going to be a bit of contact there with Clifford. He's going to get a bad exit, and Mercurius might be looking up the inside.
Bad starts from the likes of Jack Sweeney and Jack Badger as well. Those two dropping down to the final couple of positions on the grid as Sweeney makes his way past. Our focus on this fantastic battle up the order. Collins has got away right now. 1.5 seconds Bryn Collins is leading by. Absolutely fantastic. Dylan Warren under a bit of pressure, but it is Lucio who's really feeling it from Deegan Fairclough. I've seen some good moves from Deegan Fairclough, including one at Spa, of course, going into Eau Rouge. This one might be a little bit tricky to manifest, going around the outside of the Ascari chicane, not able to make that one stick because someone was straight lining it through the middle there. Deegan Fairclough not able to make that one stick, and now he comes under a fair amount of pressure. He's finally actually got past Lucio. His exit was good enough, and Nathan Clifford's got through. A bit of squeeze, and it's Theo Mercurius who's put onto the grass.
Yeah, that was an amazing bit of overtaking there by Clifford to follow Fairclough through. Lucio losing out the places as they're all running wide, coming out of the final corner onto the main straight. And let's just see how this slipstream is. Lucio could potentially get both of these positions back if he times this right. And it is now Fairclough who's having to choose left. Is he choose right? Bit of contact between the two as Clifford goes to the inside, but to the outside is Lucio, who is going to be better on the brakes. 3 wide once again.
You can't squeeze like that. Nathan Clifford absolutely slapping Lucio. Lucio halfway down the inside. I've seen that move before. Gets up into 3rd spot. Somehow they all survive. Left it halfway down the inside of Deegan Fairclough, who went for the apex. And now they're side by side around Curva Grande. Nathan Clifford down to 5th. Theo Mercure is still sat in 6th position now, eyeing up to try and grab a top 5 position back. Fabian Barlin and Kai Bacchini as well. Look out for Bacchini. Oh, big snap on the brakes as well from Nathan Clifford, just trying to get the car arrested down. There is Kai Bacchini up in the 7th position. We know how fast and how good he is at racing, already marching his way up the order.
Great racing from these guys, but certainly some little tactics going on here. Bit of pushing, bit of argy-bargy going on between these drivers because they just know how crucial this part of the race is. The top 2 are gone. Warren is now following Collins away, and Lucio is having to defend for this 3rd place once again, with Fairclough going to the inside this time. Last time I tried the outside, this time it's going to be on the inside, and he actually gets it before the braking zone, so nice and easy for Fairclough. And it's now going to be Clifford once again coming up on the outside of Lucio, and these guys are changing positions every corner.
Yeah, all the way down to the Parabolica. We're definitely going to see more. By the way, I did alert you of the bad starts from the likes of Jack Badger, who, by the way, is already up to 14th, just ahead of the car we're focused on of Joe Hayes Jr., who jumped into the championship. Back up to our race leader of Bryn Collins. It came down to 1.1 seconds for the race lead. Started to go back out again, but still hovering around the 1.1 to 1.5 is in that margin, being better at different parts of the racetrack, and still Dylan Warren getting parts of the slipstream. Bryn Collins taking the lead of the race, of course, leading the first laps that haven't been led by Dylan Warren this season.
Yeah, Warren is still in a good position, though. So that is certainly very good. As Bacchini dives it down the inside there of Clifford, side by side through turn 1, through turn 2 as Mercurius goes around and Clifford gets involved. They're all going to be losing so many positions going towards the back of the field. Yeah, getting locked together there. Don't rejoin like that. Oh, Theo Mercurius, that is terrible. On the rejoin, right into the nose, I believe, of Jamie Bradfield. That was awful. On the rejoin. I understand being stressed out in a moment like that, but that does not excuse poor driving in that sense. It has promoted, by the way, one of our other debutants, one of our other rookies, Tenek Rodrigo, who's in that sort of cyan-coloured car ahead of Fabian Bolin, up inside 6th place. There has been someone off in the background going through the exit of Della Rodger, but this is all starting to kick off. It certainly is. They're fighting for every single corner. Is that Bun now down the inside of the second Lesmo with Ballon? Is he going to get pushed wide onto the gravel? No, he's actually going to keep it in there, but he's lost the position either way, and that could be Bacchini's opportunity to try and get another bit of slipstream up towards the Ascari chicane. They are fighting just for every centimetre. You can see just how much the slipstream is closing in as we get towards Ascari, and Bun dives it down the inside as Bacchini comes through as well. Oh, there's going to be a bit of contact here, though. Bacchini's got up a position, as you're absolutely right. He might well grab a couple here. This could end in tears on the exit of Ascari. It is Rodrigo dropping 1, 2, 3, 4 positions. Oliver Bunn managing to hang on to 5th place. Kai Bacchini back into the slipstream. And by the way, there has been a mistake from Dylan Warren. He's dropping back into the clutches of Deegan Fairclough as Kai Bacchini straight back to the inside of Oliver Bunn running through the Parabolica. Oh, look at that. A little bit of a hip check as well from Barlin, who's got back to the inside. They are all fighting tooth and nail, and now Chambord Lavaggi is going to be right back into it with Ronnie Smith as well. And these two just at front of this battle, Bun and Bacchini, they've got a bit of a gap, so it's actually going to be the cars behind of Ballon and Rodrigo going side by side themselves, almost 4 wide coming towards the first corner here once again. And these guys just pushing it to the absolute limit, side by side, with 3 pairs there going through the first chicane. Then they all come out unscathed this time. Rodrigo still side by side with Ballon on the exit of that corner, coming through Curva Grande, and I think on the outside he might just lose a bit of ground.
Boccini's failure to get past Oliver Bunn, and I think might even have I was going to say a slowdown, but I think it just got a terrible exit from the Rettifilio, and now he is going to be under a lot of pressure from Bollum, from Rodrigo as well, from potentially, oh, look at that dive, that final moment from Adam Alderton, used to rallycross racing. He's not afraid of a little bit of contact as he dives it in at the final moment, running into the Rodger. There is Adam Alderton, didn't gain anything from it as he's sat directly behind Jean-Paul Lavaggie. You've got Zach Sweeney, I believe, closing in on the rear end of this train as well. This is madness in the mid pack, and it's exactly what we expect from racing around here.
Yeah, the cars are just so close. They're sort of getting caught up on each other at different difficult points of the track, and really trying to go side by side in every single corner. As we're seeing once again in the background, a bit of side by side through Ascari, and that is Ronnie Smith, I think, getting involved there with Lavaggie on the exit. And is now Alderton trying to get that slipstream as we come down to the final corner once again. And as you see, because they're battling, they're sort of splintering up this pack in the midfield slowly, one by one, and it is Rodrigo who's really leading this main peloton.
Yeah, this is honestly complete madness. There is Ronnie Smith straight down the inside of Jean-Paul Lavaggie. Lovely move into the Parabolica, giving plenty of room around the outside. Jean-Paul Lavaggie going over the white line. Adam Alderton into the slipstream. Zach Sweeney now on his march back up the grid after getting past. I was going to say about Jack Badger, who'd done really well to recover, is not involved in this battle. Of course, he's had more issues that's dropped him further back down. A little bit of a tap there on the rear end. Obviously, nothing too major. There's Zach Sweeney looking to the inside, but look at that. Big dive just behind him. It was Liam O'Sullivan who was potentially going for the move, but actually back to the outside it is Jack Badger. Oh, there's the spin from Ronnie Smith, and it is going to be positions gained for everyone as they're going to run too wide all the way around Curva Grande.
And I think Jack Badger's actually gaining quite a few positions here, getting himself up into the top 10, now dropping down into 11th place as Alderton comes back past him round Curva Grande, three wide as we enter the braking zone. Once again, who's going to be more brave on the brakes is actually going to be Alderton all the way around the outside, getting then caught up. Unfortunately, on the exit, side by side with coming into the Lesmos as Badger then jumps to the inside with side-by-side action just ahead of them with Sweeney there and going side by side with Alderton. Can they keep it on the track? It looks like they can as Sweeney jumps up back into the top 10.
Yeah, the problem is if they're going to keep doing this, they're going to keep switching positions. They are going to lose the slipstream of Jean-Paul Lavaggie. Zach Sweeney head of the train now, 10th position, as he's got Alderton, Badger, Joe Hayes Jr. as well, and Liam O'Sullivan all in the train. It's Joe Hayes Jr. who's taking a look. It's also then a little bit of a look from Jack Badger. There's Joe Hayes Jr. Once again, more of a defensive move from Liam O'Sullivan, but the battle of the pink cars be really confusing once Adam Alderton drops back one position, or they gain a couple. Then it'll be pink versus purple, and I'm sure that won't confuse us at all. Speaking of pink cars, Fabian Bollum getting down the inside of Tenek Rodrigo down into the Parabolica just in the foreground there of shot, and that is 7th position. A little bit of contact between the two, and Tenek Rodrigo is going straight on. Marcus Luzio, by the way, who has got ahead of Deegan Fairclough. This is how much things change, by the way. Luzio has got ahead of Deegan Fairclough, and that battle for third is raging on down towards the Rettifilio, back with Jack Badger here trying to get past Adam Alderton.
On the outside, another bit of side-by-side action. Once again, can Jack Badger go around the outside? I'm just going to cut away as we're actually seeing Luzio there having a side-by-side battle in Curva Grande. Fairclough is going to come back through. Luzio, I think, has had a bit of an issue there coming off turn number 2, losing all the momentum as Fairclough is gifted that third place back on the podium for him. And unfortunately for these guys, it's 2 seconds to Warren up ahead, but they're still battling for that final podium position where the big points are paid out.
Yeah, this is, like I say, big stuff, big battle. Here's Zach Sweeney just trying to grab 9th position off of Jean-Paul Lavaggie, so the pace is certainly there. That was a nice, easy move. Looked less easy in the background. Look at the defence from Jack Badger, just trying to keep Adam Alderton at bay on the departure. I was saying it was going to get confusing if Adam Alderton dropped a position. Now things are going to get a bit confusing. It's different shades.
Different shades of the same colour, indeed, and certainly the colours making it. Okay, good one. The colours certainly making it easy for us to identify the drivers, apart from when they're battling and changing position all the time with these guys. Sweeney there, he was at the back of the grid. He's now up into 9th place, for example, as we can see Badge there on the inside of the Ascari chicane, getting that position into P11, and these guys just trading positions so frequently. It's quite crazy.
You could say that you were picking up what I was putting down. Gotcha.
Yeah, I certainly could with that one, as we're seeing Balon once again having this battle into the final corner, but Rodrigo actually got back past on that previous lap.
Yeah, I mean, these are just switching all of the time. It is a 3-second lead for our race leader, Bryn Collins. Absolutely fantastic. Still pulling away from Dylan Warren, Deegan Fairclough, Marcus Luzio, Oliver Bunn, Kai Bacchini. Then Tedrick Rodrigo, Fabian Boll, Zach Sweeney, Jean-Paul Lavaggi. Now take that top 10 and screw it up, because it's already going to be different. Boland straight down the inside, once again getting past Rodrigo. Every time they switch, of course, it's Zach Sweeney that's closing in on potentially grabbing that 8th position. Nice move there from Fabian Boland.
Yeah, didn't see what happened to Zach at the beginning, but getting from 20th place all the way up to 9th is a good task, and he's still got half of the race to go to potentially get some more positions up ahead as well. And really, some of the drivers, we've been mentioning this throughout the evening, this is the 3rd race of the season, and it is your top 3 races that count. So some drivers with this result will be trying to lock in their place in that top 16. Is in the background. I think that's Joe Hayes Jr. and Liam O'Sullivan going a bit side by side, coming towards the first Lesmo, and it is going to be O'Sullivan who comes out on top on the inside. But now Jack Badger is going to be getting involved. Has come over in a contact contact. Once again, Ronnie Smith getting in the wars once again this race as O'Sullivan takes the lead of this group.
Yeah, clearly Ronnie Smith has annoyed someone this afternoon, because been in a bit of the wars today. He's on the rear end, by the way, is Theo Mercuris, who's closed in onto the rear end of that train as they all battle it out. Jack Badger's dropped down to the rear of that train as he's now got past Joe Hayes Jr., refocusing though on the battle for third position, as it is Marcus Luzio trying to attack Deegan Fairclough. No way through. Behind that, it is quite a lot of separation. We've got separation with our leader, Bryn Collins, Dylan Warren. They are separated by 3 seconds. A further 3 seconds back is Deegan Fairclough, where we've got this battle. Then there's quite a gap back down to Oliver Bunn, back to Kai Bacchini, back to Fabian Bollin, which means that for anyone to gain positions, there's no big train to do so. It's because they've all splintered whilst they've all been battling. Marcus Luzio knows that. Look at that. He is sat on the back of Deegan Fairclough being, I am done with battling with you until the final couple of laps of this race. Let's work together and let's keep all these guys behind.
Was that Antonio Felix da Costa who did that back in the old GP3 days? I think it was. There's a really nice video of him doing that with the old bump drafting down that front straight, but he's actually lost quite a lot of time there coming out of the first chicane, about half a second or so. So needs to try and regain that back as we're getting some more battling a bit further down. Zach Sweeney getting past Rodrigo there up into 8th place. So Rodrigo having a bit of an issue, dropping off the back of Balon as they come back side by side up towards the second chicane, but Sweeney keeps that 8th position and is slowly one by one making himself up the grid.
Yeah, Liam O'Sullivan and Jack Badger. I swear every time we go back, by the way, to that battle, they're in completely different orders. Adam Alderton is no longer a part of that battle, has dropped way off. So clearly there has been issues. That's promoted Jack Badger up to the front of that group in 11th position. Liam O'Sullivan, Theo Mercuris, Joe Hayes Jr. All closing in. There is Joe Hayes Jr. Theo Mercuris obviously on the march back, same as the likes of Zach Sweeney. Only the issue is that rejoin, which does not sit well with me at all. But either way, you know I love a good rejoin.
Yeah, it's something that is quite a safety as well. In the background there's Alderton diving it down the inside, going too deep though, and that is Smith coming back past him with Clifford, who's dropped all the way down for various reasons throughout this race, goes back, and we're getting almost a 3 wide situation just ahead of them as well. 2 wide in the background. These battles just do not stop.
Sad for Nathan Clifford after qualifying in 6th place. Clearly, like you say, not the day.
Didn't he do that last race as well? I'm pretty sure he dropped down from being towards the front last race as well.
Yeah, I think so as well, but I did think he managed to recover at least to some degree. Did finish in 8th place in the previous round, and you're absolutely, look at you, you're smart, mate, qualified 3rd. There you go.
Yeah.
You got decent memory,
mate, getting all these facts is once again a bit side by side battling. Rodrigo's dropped down quite a few positions now. Lavaggi is now battling him for this final point. Top 10 Lavaggi though getting the better exit, with Rodrigo having a few issues there coming out of turn 2, and this is going to be the long way round for Lavaggi. Certainly possible. We've seen it many times before. It is slightly longer, but with the better exit he should be able to keep that momentum all the way around the outside, hold it towards the inside of this second second chicane, and Rodrigo might just be going down another position here unless he can hold it on the brakes, which he can't. And Lavaggi up into 9th place. Oh, bit of contact on the exit though. Lavaggi's off, and Rodrigo's back through.
That was pretty bad from Rodrigo. In the first part, like great, backing out of it, and then just bang straight into the rear end. I feel a bit bad for Jean-Paul Lavaggi. It might well open up the opportunity though for Jack Badger and for Theo Mercurius as well. Of course, when we're speaking of points paying positions, when we're speaking of the championship order, remember that Theo Mercurius is one of those drivers who's right up there in the championship table, as he'll pick off another position here on Jack Badger. Theo Mercurius, who's second in the championship, maybe doesn't need the greatest points haul here to secure a position to go to the NCME in Bolton University in May, but could do with a decent result. Like just tick it off, just secure it. It doesn't need to be a win, doesn't need to even really be a top 5, just get up in there, top 9, top 8, somewhere like that, and surely that ticket is his.
Yeah, just get yourself those points on the board, race by race, keeping yourself in a good position, as Luzio's doing here. We've seen this a few times now, just following Fairclough once again into this first chicane, not battling him just at this moment in time. But to be honest, if he's staying this close, I wouldn't be surprised if he does a cheeky send with a couple of laps to go.
Now, what do you do in this scenario? Now, we saw this last round from Theo Mercurius on the rear end of Dylan Warren, and then didn't attack. Maybe Marcus Luzio might be thinking long game here. If he goes for a move and it doesn't work out, he's going to lose an awful lot of points, whereas 4th place is still pretty healthy on the points-paying side of things.
Yeah, 4th place would certainly do, as Luzio's on 0 points at the moment in the championship standings, so that would be a very important race for him to keep on going, working up his points tally with this 3 races to go, including this one. He has the potential to still get 3 points finishes for his top 3 race results, and that is going to be very important. Getting yourself towards, remember, that top 16 in the championship. Go to the NCME in Bolton on the 15th of May.
Yeah, only one retirement from this race, and that is Jamie Bradfield. A bit of a shame. The driver that improved at the last moment. I did hear that he was off skiing prior to taking to qualifying laps. Jumped in and just about managed to qualify at the last moment, but unfortunately it was all for naught out of this race here at Monza. Focus then still on this battle for 3rd spot with Egan Fairclough. A few more positions gained, by the way, by Zach Sweeney, up past Fabian Bolland, up into 7th position, and eyes on Kai Bacchini. One driver who he has battled out with quite a few times, including a fantastic battle the previous round at Spielberg. Some of these gaps are closing in ever so slightly. One is the race lead. It's just not closing in by enough with 10.5 minutes left to go in the race.
Yeah, this the first 20 minutes of this race has flown by with all the battles that have happened, and they are still continuing with Lavaggi getting on the back of Theo Mercurius. So Mercurius not having the race that he would have wanted so far, dropping down potentially out of the points, with Lavaggi trying to get past him, going towards the outside actually, as up front we're seeing Ballon and Sweeney go side by side as well towards turn number 1 as the battles continue here in Monza. Lavaggi to the outside, can he hold it all the way around there? That'll be the inside for turn 2, can't quite get the exit, and Mercurius holds on.
Yeah, they may not have too much horsepower, just 160 going to the rear wheels, but with skinny tyres like this, it is so easy to light them up on the departure of the first corner. It's such a strong acceleration zone. Fabian Bolland to the inside of Zach Sweeney going into the Rodger. A little bit of contact as Sweeney comes across, but leaves enough room to the apex for Fabian Bolland to navigate the corner safely himself. No direction down to the inside in the pink car of Bolland, going round the first of the Lesmo. Kai Bacchini sat ahead of them by about 3 seconds at the moment and seems to have the pace to keep them well at bay. And it's just about whether Fabian Bolland goes on the attack, because if he does, it could allow Tanak Rodrigo and Theo Mercurius and Jean-Paul Lavaggi and the rest of the train, the entire contingent behind, to close in once again.
Yeah, you'll be surprised how much time you can actually lose by battling and going side by side all the time. You really sort of lose yourself, half a second a corner potentially. So those gaps behind will come down very quickly indeed if Sweeney battles this too much, as Ballon is really starting to get a run now towards this final corner.
Tanak Rodrigo, though, having a bit of a moment on the departure of Ascari. That was pretty sizable, managed to catch it up quite nicely. Is there going to be a dive from Bolland? No, there is not. So still Zach Sweeney's going to hold on to 7th position, but potentially that is because eyes are on the opportunity to get down the inside, going down to the first corner. That is exactly what Lucio is starting to look at, although not committing to the move. There is 5 laps left to go in this race, same as it was in the girls' race with 8.5 minutes to go. We've got 5 on the board. They'll cross the line with around 15 to 20 seconds left to go. There is Bolland straight back to the inside, looking there to complete the move on Sweeney. Sweeney's wide, closing the door quite nicely on the exit though.
Yeah, those are the types of situation where you lose yourself time because you can't go full speed, obviously, going side by side in such a tight chicane. But Sweeney is holding on. We saw him defending, as you're mentioning, Lewis, saw him how he's defending, and his racecraft has been so good in the opening 2 races of the season. Can he hold on to this 7th place? Remembering that Sweeney was in 20th place on that opening lap. And once again, he's been able to hold on from Ballon here, coming through that 2nd chicane.
Yeah, you're kind of in that position thinking, okay, I'm having fun racing, but, I'm trying to do something in this championship. I'm trying to battle to get my way in to the finale. I do know that Zach Sweeney cannot, or at least as far as I'm aware, can't take part in the next round at Spa. So it's kind of almost a now or never. I believe to make the final round of the season when we go to the Hockenheim ring. But still, when you know that you're going to have to miss a couple of rounds, it puts even more pressure that you must make the most of this. Here comes a look down the inside from Fabian Bolland. Not the wisest place to be going for it, going down to Ascari, but a brilliant move potentially if he can make that one stick. Oh, that is going to work all the way through Ascari. And Zach Sweeney's been a superstar of moves all season. That one is absolutely up there from Fabian Bolland.
Right on the limit, but within it and pushing Zach Sweeney 1 position down to 8th place, Ballon up into 7th, and in the background we've actually had Mercurius jump up a position and Lavaggi getting past Rodrigo, so Rodrigo going down a couple of positions there himself as Zach Sweeney is now coming back at Ballon. We've seen just how good he is on the brakes defending, how good he is he on the brakes attacking as we come towards this battle for the final point as well. Lavaggi really trying to hold on. Jack Badger getting past Rodrigo. Now Rodrigo dropping so many positions. Can Badger get effectively a double move here towards the first corner, right on the brakes, right on the limit of the brakes on the inside? He'll have to be to make it stick side by side through turn 1 and through turn 2. We see Lavaggi there going a bit wide, going on the anti-cut and losing the place to Rodrigo.
Yeah, I wasn't necessarily sure from the angle that we were seeing there if Jack Badger was pushing Lavaggi onto the sausage car, but either way, Tenic Rodrigo picking up the spot regardless. Very tight battle, by the way, for 13th spot. Ronnie Smith, Adam Alderton and Nathan Clifford all fighting out in the background. There it is. Little bit of contact between Alderton and Clifford. A bit of a squeeze on the run down into the Rodger. Takes the curb quite nicely there. A little bit too much. A little bit of a tap on the rear end, and potentially even the green car of Nathan Clifford was going to be looking to get down the inside and the run towards the first Lesbo. The answer to that is a no. Ronnie Smith in 13th.
God, these guys just don't stop battling to it. Oh, Smith goes hugely wide there, out of Lesmo 2, dropping back another couple of positions there. Went wide at Lesmo 1, went even more wide at Lesmo 2, and that's now giving the door to Alderton and Clifford to battle as we come up towards the Ascari chicane. Once again, Alderton on the inside, Clifford to the outside, but he gets the move done on the brakes.
Yeah, great little tidy move there from Nathan Clifford to just try and fight. Once again, though, your eyes are focused on the background of that Ronnie Smith and Aaron Mensah are going to be closing back in, back up for this battle. Look at Theo Mercurius straight down the inside, trying to get the move completed as well. Fabian Bolland does get past Zach Sweeney. Theo Mercurius has closed all the way back up to the rear end of this fight, and now 2nd and 3rd in the championship are going to start battling here at Monza with just 3 laps to go. Bump drafting. Welcome to Daytona, ladies and gentlemen, as we are really starting to push the boundaries of what these cars can do.
Yeah, Sweeney needs to attack, otherwise he'll be attacked himself. And he goes down the inside there of Ballon, gets that place back up into 7th place. Mercurius, though, is now starting to battle Ballon. So this 3-way battle changes the dynamic quite a lot, as it's one of those things you got to overtake or be overtaken, which just puts even more pressure on these drivers to battle just to the absolute limit of these cars. Zach Sweeney to the inside of the 2nd chicane, but Mercurius is trying to come down the inside of Ballon. Can he keep it up the inside there of the 2nd chicane? Yes, he can. There's another position for him.
Yeah, nice tidy one, but again, you know how this plays out, Cam. Oh, right, I've got part. Oh, I've been overtaken. Oh, I've got part. I've overtaken again. This is Monza. It's timing is critical. Timing is everything around a circuit like this. You can finish 7th or you can finish 9th, and it is genuinely about how close they are behind you and how perfect your lap is. I know that's the same on every circuit, but here it is really turned up to 11. I do like stating the obvious on broadcasts. I did once say the gap will either get smaller, get bigger, or stay the same, which is not a great thing to say on a broadcast. It's not informative.
Well, it's certainly the truth anyway.
It is a fact.
But Mercurius, I think, is going to be right in the slipstream now of Sweeney. And this is what we were saying earlier. Mercurius is about a couple of seconds behind this battle, but Sweeney was defending so hard with Ballon. They're really losing himself time 10th by 10th as we come towards just under 3 minutes to go now. So just a couple of laps really remaining in this race as Ballon goes really wide, but he's off. He is not going to be in this battle. He might even lose some positions unless he can keep it on the track, which he can, and I think he's just going to be able to hold on for Badger. But will Sweeney be able to hold on for Mercurius? Mercurius second in the last race, a bit further down this race, but trying to get back up towards that 7th place up the inside of Zach Sweeney. Nice and easy move, and Zach now needs to time his re-overtake if he can do so.
Yeah, just got to wait for it. Again, maybe not this lap. Don't even try it on this lap. Try it again on the next lap. But you've got to have a bit of fun. Speaking of battles, Marcus Luzio has taken over that 3rd spot. Now, timing was critical for them. And to be fair, has done brilliantly to hold on just to the coattails of Deegan Fairclough and sit there and basically just pull an enormous gap on Oliver Bunn behind. Deegan Fairclough now has the work to do and is in the same spot as quite a few drivers on this grid, of waiting for the right time to go down the inside, waiting for the right time, because you could make a move down into a Sky right now, but then you're open down into the Parabolica, you're open down into the Rettifilio. How do you do it? You can't just wait until the last corner. What do you do?
And with only 1 lap to go as well, there's really limited opportunities, and sometimes a tiny bit of luck can be had with a mistake here or there. But Fairclough, they're dropping down recently, as you say, into that 4th place, and it's really coming to that now or never point. Final lap of the race is going to be coming up, and just 4 straights to go, including this one that we're about to go on to in the start-finish straight. What can Fairclough do? We've seen Luzio already trying to break that slipstream, but I don't think he's going to be able to get him out, and Fairclough is going to be all over him coming into turn 1.
Let's see if there's going to be that move. This is a battle for the podium. It's been raging on all race, although Luzio has just sat there, has waited, has bided his time, has got that timing in straight away. Now, Deegan Fairclough might go for this. They're taking that suboptimal line on the start-finish straight, holding it really, really close to the barrier. Deegan Fairclough getting to the outside and the run towards the Rettifilio, going to commit onto the brakes. But I don't think, if I'm Deegan Fairclough, I don't want to pass right now. I want to wait. I want to make that move either into the Rodger, either into Ascari, or into the Parabolica. You don't really want to make it into T1.
Yeah, that's pretty difficult. It's a bit early. You're just going to open up the opportunity to be re-overtaken, and this could potentially be a place, because if you get past here, do a bit of a block pass, slow them down, you might be able to break the slipstream before the exit of the second Lesmo. Easier said than done, of course, as Fairclough goes to the outside, tries to do a bit of a switchback, and he's done it up the inside of Lesmo 1. Can he hold on to it, though, with Luzio all the way around the outside? Final lap battling between these two drivers side by side. Respect given between the two, but it looks like Fairclough is going to have it up the inside of Lesmo 2. But was that too early? Is Luzio going to come back?
Yeah, might be a little bit too slow on the launch from Lesmo 2. Got to say, loving the defence there from Marcus Luzio, because he was basically being proactive about the defence. Very proactive. Was being like, I'm going to go here, you go wherever you want. As soon as he moved back over, but gave a car width. Exactly the same as what Deegan Fairclough is doing. Moving back over, just giving about a car width. Deegan Fairclough potentially even in a little bit too deep into Ascari. We'll have to roll up to our race leader, who's just coming round into the Parabolica now. Dylan Warren directly behind. It has been a dominant display from Bryn Collins. Welcome to the championship. And in the ROKiT Racing Star Formula 4 competition UK, he has been dominant today. Dylan Warren has led every lap of the season so far and hasn't led one today, courtesy of that domination. And there has been drama at the final corner, and Oliver Bunn, wow, Oliver Bunn straight around the outside to go and grab third. There was definite drama between Deegan Fairclough and Marcus Luzio, and Oliver Bunn says, thank you very much. I will take that podium. Deegan Fairclough in fourth, Luzio in fifth. Theo Mercurius will beat Zach Sweeney to the line for 7th and 8th, and that asks the question, what happened to Kai Bacchini, who was here to score points, who was here looking to make amends for what happened back in Silverstone? Oh, I think it has been a disconnection again in the final moments of the race for Kai Bacchini.
That is such a shame. 2 times in one season, and the points will not be going his way once again. Such a shame for him because he's been so fast. And as you see there down in P18 with that DNF, along with Bradfield and Alderton getting a DQ. That is, so rough indeed. But also for Luzio and Fairclough, I do wonder, was there a bit of contact? Was there a late dive down the inside? Because it certainly seemed that I think it was Luzio who was round and then Fairclough getting up to speed a bit quicker. I would certainly say there's probably been a bit of contact there.
Well, you'll have to keep an eye on all the social media channels, of course, on Racing Star and on RaceRoom. There will be highlights, short highlights posted after the round. Feel sorry for whoever has to edit those. Oops. There has been so much that's happened over this day's action. But Cam, final thoughts on it? Absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely crazy. Just, to be honest, more than we expected. They were changing positions all the time, and I think Spa in a couple of weeks is going to be just as great. The slipstream in this car is really giving us some great entertainment, some great battles over the course of the season, and we are just over halfway now with just Spa Hockenheim remaining before we get to the grand final on the 15th of May. I think really good battling, and it's shaped up to be a really good season so far.
Yeah, and if you want to be the next potential superstar, not only of sim racing, but of the real world, of course, you can come along to qualify for this championship. Qualifying is open until the 14th of March. We'll go racing on the 19th in 2 weeks' time. That's when we'll be back into the commentary booth to guide you through all of this action. Of course, you must be a UK resident between the ages of 14 and 15 to participate, but we do recommend you come along because it is absolutely fantastic. You can also head over to racingstar.com for all the relevant information towards this series, including going on there and typing in racingstar.com/prizes to understand what they're all playing for when we go to our finale in Bolton, because we've said this before, it is of course for a chance to race in the 2023 British Formula 4 Championship, which is a fantastic prize. But I've spoken before about that there is training to qualify for the FIA competition license. It includes advanced ARDS training, includes kart training, etc. They go through the whole shebang with you. And not only that, but there is also a karting championship up for grabs as well for those that finish second and third. You think that's a lot? There's also another thing, is that ROKiT are putting up an e-bike as well for those that finish inside, for a finalist that finishes inside the top 10. It is honestly incredible how much is up for grabs in this season. We cannot wait to see you in a couple of weeks' time. And until then, I've been Lewis McGlade, Cameron Rodger's been alongside, and bye-bye.
watching for the lights. They are on. Good start from pole position. That's the battle for the championship lead. Just 7 points separating those two. Is he going to be able to get the run here? There's contact there. This is going to be another massive story and another driver potentially on with a podium finish. He's got it! He's got it!